Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Fnatic versus Alliance. This is, well, we're coming down the home stretch now for WPC Western Dota action. I'm LDB on the summit. This is Alliance's final shot. They'll want a clean 2-0 here to have a good chance of advancing to the LAN finals in Shanghai, where over $250,000 in prize money is waiting. Of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined here today by Basekip. Basekip, it's getting pretty late there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. over here in Australia, but I can't miss this. WPC action's winding down, like you said, so I'm awake, and, well, I was going to be watching the game regardless, so, well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I posted in the Skype group. Anybody free to cast? And he's like, well, I'll be watching anyway, so I'm happy to join you. So thanks for that, but yeah, early here in the US, just got my coffee, so hopefully we'll be a little more focused for our second match of the day. It's a first overall pick Batrider from Alliance. So last game we saw them go for the S4 Dragonite. That worked out rather poorly. They also banned the Naga right away. And the Venomancer, a support that just hasn't been that popular. Dogma's the one team that's been running it, but Fnatic very rarely, I feel. And, well, they'll go Wisp Tiny here for Fnatic. Remaining. So we did have an infographic that I posted on Twitter before the game, and Fnatic have like an 80% win rate with Tiny Wisp. Their overall win rate is much closer to 50%. So when they get these two, they tend to win games.
Yeah, I think a lot of really high win rate heroes for both teams on their respective sides right now. And it's interesting you bring up that point about the Venomancer, because it's actually Fnatic's most picked hero on the version now. Venomancer and Doom with 21 picks apiece out of their total games.
I'm just flat out wrong then. I have not seen them run the Veno lately. Maybe that was earlier in the version.
Yeah, that, and I think recently they've been doing some Undying Venomancer duo offlanes. To my mind, to questionable success, but there have been some games where it works out fantastically. So yeah, they have been running a fair bit of the Veno. But yeah, like you said, there's super high win rate heroes on both sides. I think it's 90% on the Invoker for Alliance this patch as well. So they're both taking it super seriously, and I'm surprised to see them let the Tiny Wisp through. So we'll see what they have in mind to deal with it here.
Well, now the second stage of the bans come out. Fnatic removed both junglers, and Ake, he had a pretty fast start in the Enchantress last game. Didn't end up working out, but they don't want him on that hero again. And that means also, we know what No-Tail's playing, so they're also much more comfortable with those bans. They already have the Wisp for him, they get the Rubik now, and that should go the way of Fly. And now for Alliance, what will they do? They've got the Bat, they've got the Invoker, they still need the Loda hero, and they need both supports. And well, for supports, there's Shadow Shaman, there's Ancient Apparition out there. What do you think Alliance will be looking for from their supports?
Well, there's still a lot of your premium kind of anti-Wisp supports to deal with this pairing. I guess there's still the Disruptor in the pool, notably if you just want to be glimpsing them back whenever they go for a gank. Shadow Demon, I would say maybe not too bad either. They've got the Luna picked up. If the Invoker's going to be Quaz Exort, there's some potential for a little bit of cheesy stuff to go on there with Disruption into Sunstrike. And Demonic Purge isn't too bad against Tiny either if you just need to kite him around in circles and fights. So I think those could be two strong options for them as far as supports are concerned.
Sorry, just checking something with the audio. Hopefully everything's okay. If it's not, let me know in the Skype chat stream mods and we'll get it sorted out. But Luna's the choice from Alliance. So, I mean, you mentioned heroes like Disruptor, good against the Wisp. They still don't take a support, so we know what Fnatic will be banning on the last stage with their final ban, but as for Fnatic, they'll need their solo mid for Hani. In terms of Hani's options, there's... what will Hani play this game? Invoker has been one of his go-to heroes. That's been removed. We've seen Ember occasionally.
Tinker quite a bit, maybe.
And Naga, but yeah, the Naga's banned out. Tinker's the other option, but they'll go
against
Puck.
a Bat, not so much fun. And yeah, just a Puck, nice to have. Good teamfight setup. Coil's going to be great to get the relocates coming in, so nothing too surprising there. And yeah, Alliance do go for the Disruptor here, I think. Also fantastic against the Puck. We've already mentioned how good it is against Tiny Wisp.
Yeah, it seems like there's some issues with my microphone, so...
Okay.
All right, I'm going to try... let's see if I can unplug it and plug it back in. So, sorry about this, guys. Give me 1 sec.
The classic tech support fix. So Fnatic with one ban remaining, they can only remove a support. That's probably not going to be too exciting. Just going to be the Ancient Apparition banned out here. Alliance still plenty of strong options in the pool, I feel. And for Fnatic, what are they looking for? As far as offlaners are concerned, okay, just going to be the Prophet banned out, so Alliance not wanting to deal with the full Rat Dota.
Okay, by the way, your mic is apparently muted in Dota TV. Someone's
listening,
so...
It should be working. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
well,
right when I go to fix the mic, apparently it fixed itself. So
Oh, great.
now it's probably going to be broken for another 2 minutes. But yeah, make sure your Dota TV's on if it's not already. Someone was saying you aren't audible, so maybe you're just really quiet. But Alliance do go Disruptor. You mentioned one of the best supports to counter Wisp, so good call there. And
5 seconds remaining.
we'll see what their final pick is. They'll need one more, and the Ancient Apparition is the one that Fnatic chooses to remove.
Reserve
Fnatic
time.
now working on, I guess this will be their offlaner for Trixie. His Darkseer and Prophet are both removed. We saw his Timbersaw the other day, did not work out too well. I wonder what they'll go for this game. And
Yeah, I'm wondering as well.
I thought you muted yourself on the stream.
No. I'm just a little bit slow. I'm getting a little bit tired, but no, Fnatic. Yeah, I'm a little bit curious about what they can take for the offlane here. A lot of your premium offlaners either not looking too viable, like the Timbersaw against Disruptor and Luna isn't going to be that great. They do definitely need something, I think, just to make a little bit of space overall. They do have the puck picked up already as well, so they're not really looking for an initiating off lane either, just because then the Tiny has to do all of the heavy lifting in the late game. Well, they are going to go for an initiating off lane here in the Clockwork.
Okay, well, Fnatic have a really good ganking lineup now. They
Yeah.
don't have much push until the Tiny gets farmed, but they've got a lot of pick-off potential, and Alliance are going to be a bit nervous if they want to spread the map this game.
Yeah, definitely. By the same token, though, Alliance have some fantastic pick-off power of their own in the Batrider and the Invoker, and I wonder what build we'll be seeing from the Invoker here. I think QE and QW both could be really good, and I feel like we've actually been seeing more Quas Exort recently in the Pro Scene than we have been seeing Quas Wex.
Yeah, it was like right when the changes came with the latest patch where the EMP got buffed and the mana burn's a lot stronger, and I forget what the other change was. I think Alacrity got a boost as well. But when that came, Quas Wex started seeing a lot more play, and it's still occasionally run, but generally Sunstrike's been the build for most players. However, S4 almost always goes with Quas Wex build, so I would be surprised if I don't see that this game. Especially against a hero like Tiny, Clockwork, these relatively low mana pool heroes. There is the Wisp to give him more mana, but yeah, we'll see what they look to do here. He generally goes Quas Wex, though.
Yeah, and I think it'll be very strong. As you mentioned, great against Clockwork, great against Tiny. They're both really mana dependent, but not much of a mana pool to speak of. And the Quas Wex lanes pretty well against Puck as well. It doesn't matter if you trade hits at all. The Quas regen's always going to keep you pretty healthy.
Well, with that being said, guys, we're underway here. This is our third of 8 matches on the day. It's a marathon of WPCA's Western action. By the time today ends, hopefully we'll have 2 teams punching their tickets to Shanghai, going to the LAN finals, where over $250,000 in prizes await them. No crowdfunding, and yet still the biggest prize pool outside of the international. And on that, we'll introduce the teams quickly. We've got Fnatic on the Dire side, No-Tail on the IO. You've got Era playing the Tiny. Towards the mid lane goes Hani as the Puck. Fly on that support Rubik. He's very poor. Pulled his teammates quite heavily. And then last but not least, Trixie goes to the offlane.
Yeah, and over on Alliance, handling the offlane on the Batrider, we have Admiral Bulldog. Heading towards mid on the Invoker, we have S4. Blades of Attack picked up, so looks like it is going to be Quas Wex for him. Ake on the Disruptor. Loda handling the Luna. And finally, EGM on his signature Windranger. So interesting to see that one pulled out. I think you were just talking about in the game with Winter before that we haven't seen a heck of a lot of Windrunner recently, but well, we'll see this game.
He did run a solo mid Windrunner because S4 had internet issues yesterday, and I don't know if you saw that game, but he was beasting. By the way, nicely played by EGM. He's going to power shot through the trees to ensure that the Clockwork can't cog the creeps in and be a nuisance in the offlane. So we've seen Na'Vi do this in the past with Batrider. They would send, I think it was Funnick, just fire flying over to clear out the trees, but this is just a nice little tactic that'll make the Clockwork's life that much harder in the offlane.
Yeah, I think I've even seen Era on a Lifestealer cutting down all of those trees with a quelling blade at the start of the game just to prevent Clockwork pulling off shenanigans. So
the one other thing
teams are well aware of
it. The one other thing I've seen is a Morphling that runs in, like eats the trees, eats the tree, and then waveforms out to safety. So some teams used to be much more dedicated to it when they were when offlane Clockwork was all the rage, but it's a bit less common nowadays. And is he even going to go for it? No, he's just going to block normally. Nope, there you go.
Yeah, even if you don't corral the creeps into the trees, you can still just spread the wave out, and that means that it is going to end up pushing in. Alliance even end up overblocking a little bit, and the first creep ends up underneath the tower. So this is going to swing back towards Trixie pretty quickly.
The benefits of missing your block. Normally not a good thing, at least not in the mid lane, but in the off lane can work out to your benefit. So other matchups we'll have is Bulldog on the off lane, Batrider against the Tiny Wisp. Definitely a lane where he can die once they hit, say, level 3 to 5. So he'll have to be careful there, but so far so good. And then your mid lane, it is S4, going Quaswex like you said. He's what I'd say the one player that I don't know if I've ever seen him go Quas Exort, but he almost never does anyway.
I think the Quaswex matches his playstyle so much better. Like, he's fantastic on Batrider and Mag and your tempo controlling mids, and that's much more of what the Invoker on Quaswex does. He counter ganks, he sets things up, he defends pushes, and Quas Exort much more of a carry-oriented kind of build.
Boy, now I'm muted in Dota TV. I want to make sure I don't miss a kill here, but as soon as I have a second, I will try and fix that. Unplugging the mic, I think, changed my default audio.
So we've just got, like, in Dota TV, it was only you, and then only me, and hopefully we'll have both of us in just a second.
Hopefully. I might actually have to reconnect to the game, which is going to piss off some of the stream viewers. If there's a kill, then, well, sue me. I'm sorry, guys. But these people did pay money for their tickets, so I do want to make sure that they get what they're paying for. Even if it's a bit late. So if anything happens, Basecamp, just holler.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on. Bulldog picks up the 2-minute rune at top. It's an invis. He's tracking down Fly right now, but it's just an invisibility. I think Bulldog wants to use it to get a little bit of a free experience up on top before doing too much else. And that's pretty much it. All quiet in the game right now.
All right, well, reconnecting now, so sounds like we didn't miss too much. But let's see. As I say that, I'm sure there'll be a first blood right before I load back in. So there you go. It's probably chat trolling me, but there was enough people saying it that I just wanted to make sure. And I didn't see my bar moving was the other concern, so we will see. But this is a first of a 2-game series for Alliance, a very important match, because right now they dropped their second game versus Sigma, made the overall series 4-2, and now we're back in the game. And had they won that, then they're sitting 5-1 and have a pretty easy chance to advance, I would say. But now make things a little more difficult heading into their last 2 games. Fnatic also not out of it yet, but I think their team, they're 1-3, I believe, so they need to win out if they want to have a good shot at advancing.
Yeah, they pretty much have to sweep, I think, is the glimpse back on Trixie. But is there anyone here to follow up? There is. S4 walks across.
Oh boy. Well, we reloaded just in time to see a sight for sore eyes if you're an Alliance fan, which is a first blood going their way this game. S4 actually getting the kill much better than last time around, where he gave up like 6 kills in the course of 10 minutes. So, good start for them. Not a good start for the offlane Clock, who's also only level 2. Trixie is not having a very good time. You compare that to Bulldog, already stacking the jungle, already hit level 3, and I hope he well on his way to level 4 or 5 quite soon.
Yeah, the Clockwork was trying to be a nuisance, but ended up being punished for it, I guess. He just wasn't expecting S4 to make his way across from the mid lane. And it is worth pointing out that Fnatic, I think, have done a really smart thing with their lane ward. Up on top, they actually chose to block out their own big camp over here with the lane ward, just so that Bulldog wouldn't have something else to use and get a little bit of extra farm, be able to manipulate the creep wave.
Yeah, that's
just a little thing.
It's really like the offlane Bat and Doom, I would say. Those are the 2 main ones where you actually sometimes want to block your own camp. But for most other heroes, it's not normally needed. So good play by Fnatic, as you mentioned. The other thing is just offlane. Looking at that kill, it's so hard to play against Disruptor as an offlaner. You want to be aggressive, get farm, be a nuisance, slow down their supports, but Disruptor is the support that can most easily punish any slight mispositioning. So hit level 3, had the level 2 glimpse, and gets the kill on the back of that.
Yeah, and now that the Clockwork is so far behind on levels, he's just not a threat to any of the supports whatsoever. They can all just right-click him down with Lunar Blessing. So I don't know what Trixie's going to be able to do here. I guess just do his best to soak experience. Maybe if he's feeling really cheeky, he might be able to get a block off on the camp with Rocket Flare, but I've never seen that done consistently in a pro setting.
Yeah, you'll see it like once in a while it gets blocked, but it's rarely every single time. Although with the Rocket, he's going to mess up the double pull timing, so it's still being a bit of a nuisance. But in spite of that, Ake's hit level 4. Your Wisp for No Tail also level 4, but the Rubik for Fly is struggling quite a bit. And how is our other support doing? EGM level 3, so very slight level disadvantage for Fnatic. It's actually like just a few creeps. Pretty even so far.
Yeah, no jungle stacking whatsoever from Fnatic either. And I mean, a big feature of someone like DK's Wisp play is always the massive jungle stacks, the making sure that they secure farm later on. But No-Tail was just sort of handling the lane. Fly ran a couple of pulls. I think the other thing as well is he started off mid because he found a lucky DD at the start to try and zone at S4, but didn't end up changing the course of things too much. And both supports actually come all the way bot now.
Yeah, they're going to throw out the orbs as well, and EGM turns tail and runs immediately. Trixie, no hookshot yet, but he does have the boots. EGM lacking them. There's a nice glimpse back, though. That'll pull Trixie out of position, and that will end the engagement. Good play from Ake there to keep them safe. It looked like Ake almost had an opportunity to Thunderstrike and glimpse Trixie when he cogged right around here, but I guess it was didn't feel like he would have the glimpse range and didn't bother going for it in the end.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Fnatic bring both supports down to defend that, and they walked as well. It's not like the Rubik TP threw out a Fade Bolt to slow down the push and then went back and did his own thing. So this is going to slow down the level 6 on the Wisp a little bit. And I guess Fnatic kind of feel like, well, we've got Tiny on our side. There's not really much point in us letting towers fall at this point or even looking for trades because come the mid game, come the late game, buildings are just no obstacle for a Tiny whatsoever.
Yeah, and you mentioned the lack of stacking, and Wisp is really like the support to do it. You just clear off these trees, and you pull this camp at 53, you pull this camp at 55, and you can double stack consistently. MMY does that all the time when DK run, when they used to run their gyrocopter Wisp combo, so that's a big loss for them not getting those double stacks off. Or even a single stack. Like, he's just very far behind in terms of levels. Era, however, is already level 6. Goes in with the toss, looks for the dunk, and will secure it. Bulldog, back to the well. It's the power of the Tiny Wisp. Even, like, off-lane bat, normally hard to kill, but that combo just has too much burst. He doesn't get to kite over the trees, he just dies.
Yeah, and the damage on the spirits is just through the roof as well. Despite that, Death Bulldog's still doing extremely well, however. Already 1,600 gold picked up, so this would be a very timely Blink Dagger. And
mid lane, glimpse back onto Hani. There's a cold snap here as well, but he turns around the coil. They'll lift up S4, toss him directly into Aki to get the double stun, but they also leave S4 in a position where he might be able to continue fighting. He's going to Ghost Walk, now comes back out of the Ghost Walk, secures the kill on Hani, and Ake's going to live. Is there a rocket cooling down? 2 seconds to go. Will they be able to connect with this? It's got to come from range if Trixie wants to shoot it, and looks like he decides not to bother in the end. Well, or will he? Nope, not firing yet.
Yeah, and Trixie actually just going for the max flare build this game. I think it's actually fine. It helps deal with push quite well. It's a little bit of a split pushing tool, and for the most part, he doesn't really have to get solo kills, I feel. Either he's going to be moving around, the puck might be nearby to help him out, or they can just have the Tiny Wisp relocate in if he lands a hook shot. So he doesn't really need to have all the killing power by himself this game.
That's true. Era he did also go Midas, which I don't know if you mentioned it, but I definitely did not mention that before. So Midas Tiny, not something you see very often. Normally it's just the straight treads into Ags, and then you use the Ags to keep your farm up. How fast did he get this? He's used it at least once, so that's his second usage here.
Yeah, I think it's reasonably timely. Yeah, I think it was not a bad decision, especially since Tiny does scale so well with levels.
And attack speed. That's the other thing, is Tiny really needs attack speed, so I think it's a decent choice this game. And Alliance aren't looking to punish it either. Loda has gone for a Midas of his own, so both carries go Midas. Generally, Luna not a carry you want to trade farm against in most situations lately, but hey, Tiny's probably the one that you're happy to do it with.
Yeah, and I wonder what kind of build Loda's going to go for, because he has in the past been a fan of the super greedy Midas and Dominator build early on, so just mass farm. Though I think there is definitely an opportunity to, go for a reasonable timing around, say, the Force Staff that's being picked up for the Invoker, the Blink Dagger that's already up for the Bat, and then maybe start just hammering down some towers. So
yeah, they'll have
see
like
if he makes the trade-off.
And they have the level 3 Glyphs, they have the Static Storm, so it's a pretty good time right now for Fnatic or for Alliance to force the fight on Fnatic. And certainly once those next items come out. Let's see if they do it. Eclipse is available, and Bulldog's going to go in with the dagger, but it's too late. Is he really diving for this? Not going to happen. Cannot run down Era. Thwarted, and they even forced out an S4 TP. Alliance way slow to react to that one. They even used their glyph, but they just underestimated how fast Fnatic could bring the tower down. And Fnatic even saw it coming with this ward here, so a lot of wasted time.
Yeah, and Fnatic, they get it absolutely for free. They're probably going to go run a quick pull just to get the lane back in a safe position again, and I think things are looking just peachy. Half a level until they get the relocate up on the Wisp as well. So things are looking good on that front, and I think they're very comfortable with this going late on with the Tiny Wisp. You know, as far as they're concerned, this is like the most powerful late game combo ever, and they're really good as far as the decision making is concerned as well when they're running this. So,
and they've almost got level 6, so the Clockwork Hook is soon to come. Relocates up on the Wisp now. S4's got to be careful. He's got Force Staff, but if they just catch him in a coil and there's a relocate, this could be his death. And Hani's looking for it now. Drops the coil. Relocate's going to come right over the top. Force Staff's out, but does break the coil in doing so. The Tornado, however, is absolutely perfect. Connects on 2. Won't even matter. Tossed back down. Fly was there to bail them out. It looked like he might escape. Now Era, he's a bit off on his own. He wants to retether and relocate back. They're going to get him out just in the nick of time. However, Hani, not so lucky. He will go down as the Bulldog rotates in. But in the end, a 1-for-1. The Invoker falls. The Puck will die. But Tiny goes right back to farming, and Alliance did rotate. Well, both teams rotated almost their entire team mid.
Yeah, so I think a minor win for Fnatic overall.
But pretty even.
Yeah. And yeah, Gold's pretty even. Experience actually a little bit of a lead in favor of the Radiant right now. So well, looks like Alliance is feeling pretty content to farm up. Bulldog's going to have another gank ready to go soon. So we've got the lasso and the relocate probably just trading kills back and forth for the next little while.
Well, then I guess the question becomes, who do we actually favor if this goes late? The one thing I will say, Quas Wex Invoker makes it very hard for the Tiny in the team fights, especially later on. Once the Wex is maxed out, you get at least the 4 points in Quas, and he can be kited pretty effectively. So maybe a game where he's got to think about BKB, but you generally don't want to do that on Tiny. So we'll see for Fnatic. Alliance have probably the better kiting potential, but Fnatic seem to have just the better overall damage output. This Tiny will be hitting very hard, so it's a battle of brains versus brawn, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think there's just going to be a lot of problems, especially S4 goes in mid with a haste, free kill on Fly.
He tornadoed him, and he ran to the other side, got in position, and then just started auto-tagging, then cold snapped, and then like a little rotation. Okay, they've dove him at the tower, and he didn't see this one coming. Bulldog, however, rotates in. He can't get in range here for a lasso. Flame Break is only going to push them back. Won't be successful in the counter gank. EGM was ready as well from the sideline. They'll relocate directly on top of their previous position. But this ward has done work. It spotted the Invoker TPing into the tier 2 earlier, and it also got them that relocate kill. So 2 successful uses already.
Yeah, nice little bit of warding for Fnatic. I think smart from Bulldog not to use the lasso. They probably needed one more hero to make its way in there to be able to get the kill on the Tiny, and the Wisp was just a little bit further back. So hanging on to it means that he might be able to just grab a smoke and go straight out for another gank, and yeah, that's exactly what he's doing right now.
Also, if he dies there, that delays his Force Staff, and they're going to need Force this game to find pickoffs. So he'll work towards that. Alliance, though, head towards the mid game. Can't be feeling comfortable against Fnatic's vaunted Tiny Wisp. Been given free farm on the Tiny, even went for a Midas, which is greedier than Era normally even chooses to go, and they can look to stack Ancients now. Haven't done so yet. I would like to see that from Trixie, but otherwise, Fnatic just in a holding pattern at this point, and I think there's a little more pressure on Alliance. Though they are running the Midas Luna, it's Tiny Wisp late game, man. You never want to go up against that. Never.
Yeah, it's super, super scary. And Loda isn't going to end up going for the Dominator. He is going back for the BKB now, so it looks like Alliance are trying to hit that timing right around now and start getting a little bit of 5-manning going. And it's not a bad response to the Tiny Wisp at all. I think they're pretty well equipped to deal with it. They've got the lasso. They've got some okay teamfight, especially with the Quas Wex Invoker, and yeah, the 5-man begins.
Here comes the lasso, right on the Trixie. Doesn't get off the cogs in time, and now he's in all kinds of trouble. Lucent Beam's there, the follow-up is there, and they'll get the kill, but Fnatic say, that's okay, we'll just take your tier 1 mid in exchange. So it'll be a tower trade, it looks like. Will it be fast enough? Already, then comes the Invoker. The Glyph is cooling down for Radiant, 5 seconds to go. But the relocate comes down. As soon as they see the TP out, there's an Eclipse, though. No Tail did not bring the Tiny. I think he got canceled. Thrown up in the air, cold snapped. Didn't bring in his buddy in the end. Oh, boy. And did they stole the Eclipse, threw it back the other way as well. I was looking to see what happened with the Tiny, but it looks like the Wind Ranger went down. So Fly steals the Eclipse, gets the counter kill. Now Hani in the trees, looking for Ake. No, maybe looking to run. He gets glimpsed right back where he came from. Then he already had the orb going, so he just jaunts to it directly. Now they found Loda. Trixie's rejoined the fight, but the kinetic field keeps him out of position. Rocket's not enough. Trixie, don't feed like this, my friend. No, Trixie. No. They get the kill on Loda. Orbing up towards the cliff, but Hani now is also in an awkward position. No TP. Isolated. Shackle, not going to connect. He's got a phase shift Blink Dagger. Cooling down soon. He's got to wait on his phase shift just a few more seconds. Phase, and then goes for the Blink, but it's only a level 1 phase shift. Won't get him out safely. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Era being chased out a bit by this Invoker, but should be okay. So, yeah, the Tiny didn't... No-Tail was not able to tether to Era. Did he get... I think he got disabled when he was casting the tether or something? Not sure what happened mid.
Well, regardless of whether or not the Tiny came along, there was a Static Storm kinetic field waiting for them right on the arrival point as well. So it might even have worked out a little bit better for Fnatic not to fully engage into that fight there. Though it was a pretty good call, especially since they saw the Invoker had just TP'd mid.
Well, Rubik has the Stolen Eclipse. He'll have it for... he's got the... It's a level 2 Eclipse, so he might get to use it twice, like, right as it ends. I think the timing works out. Let's see.
150, 180, 30 seconds he should have left.
So,
I think
he used it almost immediately. So yeah, he'll have a slight window to use this. I noticed there's a lot of Lucimians. I'm like, wait, that's a really high level Eclipse, and that's the Midas in action for Loda. Level 2 Eclipse already.
Yeah, trades are still very even overall, I feel, but again, Fnatic haven't really been able to make much use of their initiation just yet. They haven't been the ones on the front foot as far as setting up fights are concerned, and that is to Alliance's credit as far as teamfight positioning is concerned. So we'll see. A couple more bad initiations could be pretty disastrous for Fnatic, and Era gets EMP'd top lane, but well, there's no follow-up. It's just harassment from S4.
They might even need No-Tail to get some arcade boots. I don't know if the bottle charges are enough, really. That EMP is so much mana burnt. Yeah, even with all the bottle charges. Well, the stick's there as well. He's got the combo. Relocate, bottom side of the map. They've already found the Wind Ranger. He wasn't even needed for this. But he might stick around, look for something additional. Uh-oh. S4 running right into a few heroes. Well, who's catching who? The Stolen Eclipse is back up, but he 4-steps down to the low ground. Great play from S4. Biting this time, but the hook shot's there from Trixie. Even better counter initiation. And now the real Eclipse comes out. Fly. Oh, can he steal it again? Can he do it again? No. Is he going to get it off? Nope, can't do it. Lucid Beam brought down. Was looking for Loda, I believe, there. Then got glimpsed back. Now the Puck trying to orb his way out. Hani making the retreat. A chaotic fight with the Stolen Eclipse going off, the new Eclipse, and then the re-steal attempt. Not quite able to get the vision for that, it looked like. What a crazy fight.
Yeah, and just another 1-for-1. Like, it's still very back and forth. That does seem like Alliance are putting together a little bit of a lead. Really nice opportunistic warding from Fnatic as well. Sort of in the midst of the last fight.
Oh, they pinged it. They saw it. That was going to be... Oh, no, he shot all the way to the fountain. Never mind. I thought he was shooting it more like at mid. Would have been a nice shot on Loda, but the rocket's off the mark.
Yeah, and Loda bought a salve, or he had one on the courier, so I think he was already thinking ahead about the rocket flare as well, but no, not going to happen this time.
Yeah, that's just Fnatic getting inside Alliance's head a bit. So now, heading into the mid-game, Alliance with a 2k gold lead, 3k experience lead. And is that just the one tower advantage? No, it's even on towers, so it is a slight advantage for them, but it always feels tenuous when you're up against the Tiny.
Yeah, and the Tiny hasn't even really come into his own as far as farming speed is concerned yet. Like, the Aghanim Scepter is a huge boost for him, and that's just about to come online, probably after this camp, and then maybe one wave from the lane.
Do you think that this is a mandatory BKB game for Era? Because normally Carry Tiny doesn't go for that, but I kind of feel he needs one this game, even though there's the lasso.
Yeah, there's so much else to contend with. I mean, he doesn't want to be dealing with Kinetic Field, he doesn't want to deal with Glimpse, doesn't want to deal with the mana burn. So yeah, I think this might have to be a BKB game. A shackle could just be a disaster. If he gets shackled to No-Tail in the middle of a fight, then that can just be fight 100% over, and that's always the power of the Windrunner, even from a support position. Shackle is just 2 hero roars all day, especially if you're EGM.
It's already max rank, so the potential for the long duration shackle is definitely there. Dire side, already having used their glyph, will go for the trade mid, but there's a Radiant Glyph online again. And Arrow might just be thwarted again. He's used the toss during the glyph, so that won't be effective. Rocket coming through top, already the tier 1 has fallen. And they are forced back off the lane. The Aghanims is online. Level 2 ultimate's up, so now the farm speed will increase. But the tower gets denied mid. Alliance come on top in another tower trade. This one bottom, however, will go the way of Fnatic. So in the end, now the Radiant losing all their outer towers, and that's some big map control against this semi-global lineup that Fnatic's running.
Double damage.
Yeah, well, Honey is so sick of the glimpses and the static storms and everything else. He's actually going for a BKB of his own.
Oh wow!
This game.
Puck
Wow, so
BKB rush. That is very unusual.
I guess he feels that he really needs it to be able to initiate and then still stick around long enough for the relocate to come in. But
it's also
yeah,
for the mana
definitely out
burn
of the ordinary.
potentially.
Yeah, as well.
It's just maybe they even just get like 2-3 BKBs this game. As weird as it sounds, and I mean none of these heroes are natural BKB carriers. Tiny maybe as your 5th or 6th item, but Puck almost never, and Clockwork fairly uncommon. Well, they're trying to siege mid. There's the lasso. They found Trixie, but the coil, it's airballed by Hani. Now the Eclipse comes out, stolen by the Rubik. Oh, he's got to make it out safely. The Tornado's going to clip him. Will he actually live through the damage? Yes, he will. Meanwhile, the Tiny Wisp coming from the back, but oh, they just don't have the damage yet. Era's overextended. They're going to fall. And that whiffed coil really hurting them. They should have just backed off, but already they had queued up the relocate, I think, and in the end, another big win going the way of the Alliance. And the tower was denied by Hani, so they at least get something out of
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And so much of that was down to the coil. If the coil goes off and the Batrider doesn't get the Clockwork all the way away, he probably still dies to the Eclipse, but at least maybe the Rubik has a chance to run in with the stolen Eclipse, and then they could maybe break Alliance a bit there with the relocate. But yeah, after that coil whiffed completely, everything fell apart for Fnatic, and they get nothing out of that whatsoever.
Just comparing the two offlaners this game, Bulldog is 0-2, but he's got 6 assists, and his initiations are setting up winning team fights for them. Whereas you look at Trixie, 1-4, I just feel like Trixie hasn't really done anything this game. I feel like that the offlaners have really been the difference in the way the game's developed. The Batrider's been very effective, and wow, big stack for Fnatic here. And the Clockwork's been a bit underwhelming. Do you think that just comes down to the hero, or is it more his play?
Honestly, I think when we start looking at offlaners like Bat and Centaur and stuff, in the current meta, Clockwork comes up a little bit short, and you know, that's not just a short joke. He just doesn't really, he doesn't really contribute as much as, say, a Batrider and a Centaur. And Centaur, he can flash farm a little bit, he can be off the map and still be really impactful while he's farming with Stampede, but for the Clockwork, it's pretty much just suicidal initiation, not a heck of a lot of late game. And I mean, even this game, he hasn't gone for any pick-off potential at all, and I don't think he even would have been able to, but now he's just sort of a rocket flare bot. So yeah, I think it does come down to the hero a little bit here. I don't feel that Trixie is, necessarily made too many mistakes as far as his play is concerned.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with that. And the other thing is that they did a nice job of shutting him down in the off lane. He got picked off by Glimpse. They had a really good lane to punish overextensions. And Clockwork doesn't have the mobility of a Batrider in the laning stage. So if he gets caught and he doesn't have Cogs in a great position, he's probably dying. Alliance have grouped up as 5 bottom, but can't make the move. And the other thing was just that they cleared out the trees, so he couldn't block creeps into the trees.
Under attack.
Well, that was a very clever sentence I just put together there. I'm really on my A game, man. What can I say? Top lane, though, there will be potentially some initiation here, but bottom lane's where the real action breaks out as some TPs got canceled. There's a relocate that came through. Era, however, just gets melted by the Eclipse. They relocated into the level 2 Eclipse, and Fly, with his own stolen Eclipse, will try and pop it now, but it's just not enough damage. He dies way too quickly. They just relocate on top of Loda, and they don't have BKBs, and they just can't fight against him.
Yeah, Alliance just aren't afraid of the relocate. The Fnatic have not put Alliance in a position this game where they're like, oh no, we're trying to retreat because the big scary Clockwork and Puck are jumping at us, and then the Tiny Wisp catch them from behind, and they actually manage to win a fight. Every single time the relocate comes in, Alliance are already sitting there like, oh, here's the static storm for you, and here's the kinetic field for you, and here's the Eclipse. And the Tiny Wisps just get completely blown up. So, I think it looks like Alliance have very knowingly left the Tiny Wisp through, and they've got their way to deal with it.
But Fnatic could just be doing stuff like split pushing, trading. They don't have to be forcing these fights. These are fights they're taking of their own volition. And I feel like normally when you watch Fnatic, they're a little more patient in when they select their fights. To me, they've just been uncharacteristically over-aggressive. And like you said, Alliance have definitely played well and punished it, but these are not fights Alliance are forcing them into. They are diving in for these engagements.
Yeah, and it comes down to such small plays from Fnatic and little communication things as well. If either of the initiators is calling go go go, No Tail is already thinking, okay, we're taking this fight. I trust my team. We have to make an attempt at it. But there seems to be something going a little bit wrong for Fnatic right as they come in. And I don't know, even if they get the Tiny Wisp in safely and start off the fight, there's just so many ways to control them. I mean, we've seen them relocate immediately into a tornado 2 or 3 times.
Or just into an EMP. Era does have a BKB now. At the same time, though, Noto has a Rid of Basilius, a bottle, and a Magic Wand. This Wisp just can't stay alive. When they get those early pickoffs, that's where No-Tail farms up a Ghost Scepter, a Heaven's Halberd, something to keep him more survivable, but he's just got squat this game. Well, Fnatic are smoked, though. With the double BKB, they'll look to make their move here. Alliance never got that Roche, although they thought about going for it, but here comes the dog. And he'll find Trixie yet again, the bat punishing the clock right into an EMP. And now they're just in an awkward situation. They'll lose him. From the backside comes Hani. It looks like they still might fight this anyway. Static Storm gets dropped, though. Era's going to get caught up. Pops his BKB, tries to run his way through this fight. But in the front side of the fight comes Loda with the Eclipse. This time, no steals for you, sir. Era clubbing and clubbing away at Loda, but just not doing sufficient damage. Now his BKB's going to end. He might drop. He gets the Luna, but he pays with his own life. They've lost 3. It's probably going to be 4 quite soon. Hani still pursuing out the Windrunner. Gets the kill there. The Wisp is still involved, but quite squishy. No-Tail bottling up, trying to keep them both alive. The Orbs bring down Bulldog, but now it's S4, who should clean up at least 1, maybe 2, if they're not careful. Orbing away, gets glimpsed right back in, but phase shifts still blinking out. What a great play by Hani. Hook shot comes over the top, catches out S4. Now he ghost walks, but there's dust here, and Trixie finally delivers, makes a play for his team. Will they pursue Ake? He starts auto-attacking creeps. He throws his body at the Wisp, gets off the air charge. Hani, can he phase shift sufficiently to dodge this incoming damage? Not gonna happen. Ticks down. It's a team wipe going Fnatic's way. That was not how I expected that fight to go.
Is it a team wipe on both sides, I think, for that?
Oh,
fight?
it wasn't. It was a double team wipe. It's
Yeah.
a double team wipe. You're right. The Windrunner just respawned. Oh my
Trixie
goodness.
just happens to respawn as well to be able to jump back in at the end there. But I don't know. That was supposed to be a huge timing for Fnatic. That was 2 BKBs coming online on both the Tiny, and the Puck, and 2 10-second BKBs turned out to not really be too much of a stumbling block for Alliance. So I think Alliance can chalk that one up as a win.
Man, double team wipe. That is, not every day you get to see one of those base Kip. I mean, that's without buybacks or Aegises either. So just a good old-fashioned bloodbath, really. Well, can Fnatic do something off of this? It looks like No-Tail's rushing a Vlad's as his first big item. I wonder if they're maybe thinking about Roche.
And it's off.
Yeah, the Vlad's is so nice for the damage on the Tiny, but like you mentioned, there's just no way for No-Tail to be near Era in these fights. I mean, now Era has a BKB, so he can be ramboing through Static Storms, Kinetic Fields, all of the AoE damage, but his poor Wisp buddy can't nearly do the same. So I don't know how much utility he's going to get out of going for a Vlad's here. Obviously,
It could be a
force
Force Staff. I think he already had the Bassi. Maybe it was just a casual Bassi, but yeah. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. No-Tail's so poor that this could really be a Force Staff, and it's like, oh, I could buy a Rid of Regen now. Great. Sweet. It's something.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm dying so much, I gotta just buy whatever I can get my hands on right now.
Worst feeling as a support player. But the other thing I will give Fnatic a lot of credit for is they've been using the Ancients effectively this game. In spite of the wards from Alliance that they placed earlier, they still have kept their farm up, constantly clearing out the stacks. And that's really the main thing keeping them in the game. Because Loda is freaking 6-2 and 10. The Tiny's 3-4 and 3. And Alliance are also up a tower. And yet they're still even, but Fly walks in mid, gets caught up by a shackle and a lasso. It's like it looked like he saw, for some reason, it just looked like he saw them. I was like, here, take me please, but of course didn't know they were coming and just gets caught out.
Yeah, I think he both wanted the creeps mid and he wanted to go and plopped in another ward because Fnatic are actually a little bit blind right now. Oh, Ake caught out.
Tornado. Now the BKB comes in. Tony starts going to work. Clubs down 1. And with the coil here, could get more. Brings down a second. Goes for 3. He's going to clean them all up. Loda better hoof it out of here now. Triple kill for Era. And this is why you always got to worry about giving away the Rockman to Fnatic. Can Bulldog even make it out safely? There's no relocate available. Actually, there is. There's a relocate. Do they go for him? No, they'll take the Rosh instead.
Radiant's top tower is
Oh
under
boy.
attack.
You play so well all game long, base skip. You win every engagement. You're ready for the relocates. You've got a BKB Eclipse coming in. They just melt to you. And then you have one even team fight, and all of a sudden, you just get clubbed. And now we'll have AC, now we'll have Aegis. And now you'll be on the back foot for the next 5-10 minutes, at least.
Yeah, and the positioning for Alliance there was just a little bit wonky. They were moving around the side of a full HP tower. I feel like they were almost in the mindset of, hey, we got a pick off. That should mean that Fnatic forfeit this tower to us. But it was just the Rubik, and as much as Fly has been making some really nice plays stealing the Eclipse the whole game long, he's not really the biggest hero, the biggest deal to get a pick off on at this point. So yeah, Fnatic punish Alliance a little bit for their bad positioning. Really nice coil coming out of Hani and showing that Tiny with a little bit of good setup can definitely dish out the deeps.
There's your Vlad's for no-till. So it is a Vlad's. The armor will help if he can live, but just having an item at 31 minutes, no-till's like, great, finally I get something. And Trixie's working towards an Aghanim Scepter now. The backline heroes are still a bit under-farmed for Fnatic. Fly also very poor, getting close to a Blink Dagger, but doesn't have anything that actually adds value to his hero yet. But it's just about the Tiny, who's finally eclipsed the Luna in terms of farm. You see what I did there?
Yeah, no pun intended,
Yeah.
but definitely intended. Yeah, so Fnatic loosely
Taking
grouped
a
up.
page out of your short jokes book, man.
Oh, those aren't great either, but Fnatic kind of grouped up. I mean, normally what you want to be doing with the Tiny and the Wisp is split pushing a lane with them and having everybody else feeling confident enough to be hammering down a lane by them as the group of three, and then just have the relocate come in. But they're not really in a position to do so. So it looks like everybody is just going to be standing behind Big Brother Tiny right now.
He is quite the big brother. Level 19. I think he's got the Icy Ice Infusion. Is this still the only Tiny item? The Elemental
Yes.
Ice Infusion?
Dire's middle
Yes, and we
tower
still
is
don't
under
have the.
attack.
I think the creator said, "Oh, I want to put in a custom tree," but
Valve said
that
no.
hasn't. Yeah, either Valve said no, or it's just been in the works forever. So, yeah, this is still the only Tiny item right now.
Speaking of cosmetics, where are my Shadow Fiend cosmetics? Where's my Shadow Fiend remake? That is so long overdue.
Yeah, that's been in the works for ages, at least from what I understand. So yeah,
We wanted to
hopefully
do
they-
some Shadow Fiend stuff, but Valve did.
Yeah?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but yeah, they said they're working on it. I don't think it's a big surprise.
Oh,
Hani!
Hani!
Oh, no! He walks right into a sentry. He BKBs though, and he'll look to just orb his way out. Can he make it out safely? Yes, he will. And the BKB saves his life there. They saw him pick up the Invis rune, and they were just waiting. It's like, let's spring a trap, but works out alright. Space created as they'll take the tower. That BKB, it's really been a smart choice by Hani.
Yeah, definitely saved his life there for sure. And Fnatic just wisely going to back off, wait until it's back off cooldown. They've still got a couple of minutes to be able to exploit the Aegis as well. So yeah, feeling pretty confident making it out of their side of the map for the first time in a little while. And I think things after that fight looking good. And it just goes to show how precariously balanced this game was on the team fights trading evenly and on the initiation. As soon as Fnatic get the far superior initiation, things landslide in their favor.
At the same time, there are some decent items coming out for the Alliance. They'll pick up a Hex here on the Invoker, Force Def coming soon for the Windrunner. And Loda's not too far off a Butterfly, though whether the Butterfly is relevant just depends on the fight. I mean, the Tiny could just auto-attack other heroes and still cleave onto her. Can't evade that, so... Well, he'll be hitting harder, but it's just this matchup where the Luna really has to be ahead or have way more backup to take the fights. She is not soloing this Tiny 1v1. Not with the Wisp there. Because it's never 1v1 is the thing. It's always an unfair fight with the little buddy in tow.
And the next, I think the biggest item actually for Alliance, along with that Butterfly and the Hex, is going to be this BKB on Bulldog. Because once he has that, there's not a heck of a lot that Fnatic can do to stop him just coming in and abducting the Tiny
That's true.
and taking him back to his team. And even if it's not so much to get a pick off at the start of the fight, we've seen a couple of situations where Era has been right on the verge of clubbing Loda to death, and then Bulldog swoops in with the lasso, and the disable is just enough for them to turn things around. So that BKB is definitely going to be a big deal. But it's not up just yet, and Fnatic have a bit of a window of opportunity to use here.
Here comes Era. Alliance are playing very conservatively with their positioning. As well, they better. Uh-oh, the smoke will get revealed. They'll go in. They do connect on the avalanche toss. The toss directly up in there. They just insta-give him S4. He's donezo out of the fight. And now the tower's going to be next. Get clubbed, fools, says Era. Look how quickly he mows them down. Up to 4.7k gold. Barely even had time to use his Midas before the wave falls, and now they'll breach the base. Is there buyback on this Invoker? There's not. There's no way for S4 to rejoin the fight. He's dead for 44 crucial seconds. Oh, it's been a bad day of fours for him so far. Now the clubs keep on coming. Hottie blinks in. They found Ake, and Fnatic have found their rhythm here. Loda will pop his BKB, but there's an... well, even through this Eclipse damage, can he kill everyone off? He brings everyone low. Loda still alive. Era slowly turns, slowed down by the sticky napalm, it looks like. But they get two relocated out safely. They end up living. No-tail medevacs one out, and Trixie will be back after these messages. They'll have 4 heroes alive. Era's still got Aegis. They might lose Hani here, but as BKB pulled deep behind enemy lines towards the tower. Era, 55 seconds on this Aegis, but already the damage has been done. They just can't kill the siege engine. He keeps on smacking the tower in jeopardy. The 2-hero shackle does slow him down a few seconds longer, but he'll take the tower. He'll lose the Aegis. Probably a good time to lose it. And he's complaining about bugs. Oh, Scythe. Will they follow up? EMP Tornado. Is he saying that was a bugged shackle?
No, I think he ended up back at the fountain. Like, he relocated from the racks back to the fountain, but he didn't come back. Or
and no tail, you mean?
He popped back. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some weird bugs with relocate, but they're very infrequent.
Well, it doesn't actually end up costing Fnatic there. Fortunately for them and their fans. They take the racks, and they just keep on marching forward. Now it's on to 2 lanes, and Alliance, a team that scrimmed Fnatic, very close with them, played them so many times. I can't even imagine how many scrims they've lost to this, and they've given it away. They're paying the price now. The Shackle will connect on Era, but there's still a initiation back in for the Wiz. Hookshot come through from Trixie. They try and work on the racks here. Quickly bring it down. Try and work. Who am I kidding? They just club it into submission. Bring it down with ease. Era relocated back out once again. The Wisp bails him out. Now, back into the fight comes Loda. They have killed down Hottie, but Trixie looking to retreat out. He's got a hookshot. He needs to line this one up just so. No, he's out of mana now. They'll lose Trixie. But they gain... Oh, they might lose the Wisp as well. He tethers back to Trixie. He says, I'll go down with the ship, buddy. We'll die together. We're brothers in the end, and they will die. It's a very romantic way for them to fall, but they do die in the end. They save the Tiny, though. Has a heart, has 2.6k gold, 2 lanes of Rex top. Yeah, so some weird glitches, I guess, with the relocate then.
Yeah, sometimes what happens is you relocate out, and then you get brought back, and then no apparent reason whatsoever, you just snap all the way across the map. I think back to where you relocated from. So there's some weird stuff going on. I think you'd have to check the replay to see exactly what happened, but that would be my guess. Just because he wasn't back there tethered on the Tiny, you know, after that, well, after the timing.
Well, he went back with the Clockwork originally.
Yeah, but he should have returned
with the Clockwork.
Yeah, and that's not what happened, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's definitely one for the replay. Maybe we'll have instant replay in the future. We actually have something pretty... Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it. Never mind. Something pretty cool planned. Era gets lassoed though, pulled back in. Now into Eclipse. They could kill off this Tiny here. He does have a pop BKB and just starts smacking them down. Brings down one. However, he's quite low. He's going to have to bite back. Loda will manage to kill him off. Now Fly. He's stolen only a Lucent Beam though. This time not the Eclipse. And Trixie is on his own. So have they bought back on the Tiny? Not just yet, but now they're going to have to. 2 heroes shackled. Is everyone else alive to rejoin him is the real question now. Checking the buybacks for Fnatic. They've got 4. I think they just have to throw all 4 right now. Relocate comes. Hani right over the top. But remember, he doesn't have BKB this time. They can look to kite him a bit. Another 2-hero shackle. EGM re-entering God mode. We just saw this yesterday, and he's right back at it. His Windrunner is out of this world. They force out the buybacks. They don't take racks, though, and the creeps keep on marching in. But that's a lot of buybacks. For both teams, actually. There was 2 used by Alliance in the earlier fight as well.
Yeah, that was really costly for Fnatic, and I'm not quite sure how Bulldog managed to actually find Era and drag him outside of the base to start up the fight, because he must have been positioned pretty aggressively there. So Alliance don't get a lane of racks, but the double buyback is always huge. That's such a massive resource for the Tiny Wisp at all points in the game. So things get scary, and Alliance, you know, we saw how quickly the Tiny can break the base, but the Luna can do it just as fast. Well, a little bit slower, but you know, for argument's sake, we'll say it's just as fast. And if they get the Tiny dead, then they could quite easily take 2 lanes of racks of their own.
Sunstrike into the pit. It's not going to spot out a Roche. Hasn't respawned yet. And meanwhile, there's been a Blink Dagger pickup on EGM. So if you thought his Shackles were good already, well, you've got another thing coming now. We expect to see even better ones in future fights. This is a lot. At the same time, there's no buyback on Tiny, so Fnatic just have to play it super conservatively.
Yeah, they need the Aegis really badly. And BKB is now down to 5 seconds, so the clobbering window is much shorter for Tiny now. Era needs to be very careful with how he uses his BKB. But the problem is as well, he wants to use it proactively because there's a Hex on the Invoker. He doesn't want to walk in, get Hex, and then burst it down before he can do anything.
Oh, Bulldog. He looked for the initiation here, but Hani's actually invis. And I don't know if they've ever had a gem this game. Has either team actually bought a gem?
I don't believe so. No, I've been keeping an eye out for it, especially in this kind of really close game. The vision can be all important, but...
Shivas, there's a Blade coil, catches out 5! Will this be a $1 million coil? Not sure about that just yet. Fly, retreating out. There was a lasso in the meantime. They pull Tiny up onto the high ground after the relocate. He can't do a thing during the fight. Now the kinetic field, Static Storm get deployed, and Loda's doing work. Where is the backup for Era? He can't actually get out from the tree line. They tried to relocate him out, it looks like No Tail did, but he didn't take Era with him. No, didn't bring him out in the end. It's just been useless, this fight. Still, they've lost 3. Trixie trying to retreat. Loda bringing down the fuck in the end. This Tiny did absolutely nothing. Now Fly's gonna fall on the backside. It looks like it was a 3 for 2. Imagine if the Tiny wasn't on the cliff. That was a 5-hero coil, and they still emerge vaguely intact, which is pretty impressive.
That was just so well played by Bulldog. Like, he had a little bit of time to react because they saw the 5-bank coil and they all kind of glanced at each other like, uh-oh, Tiny's on his way. But caught him out. Oh, hook shot from Trixie.
Gets hit by the cogs on his way out. Can they toss him? Not going to toss Trixie forward. I think could have gone for that, but a little bit worried about overextending. What they really want is, like you said, they need the Aegis. They don't want to be distracted from that goal. But yeah, so Bulldog pulled him up onto the cliff. And then No Tail, it looked like tried to tether to him for the relocate back, but was a second late or something, and didn't actually get the relocate. So Air was just standing there, or did it bug again? It looked like he had cast the tether, but didn't go off. A new BKB.
That's one way to solve the BKB problem, I guess. Just buy a new one and break the old one as well. Like
angrily just smash it.
Well, you can't sell it, so...
Yeah, this Tiny's a rager. Era's like the nicest guy ever, so I can't really picture him getting angry.
He's just pragmatic. It's not useful to him. I mean, maybe he could put it back in the slot of the Aegis once it's... I mean, it is still stats at the end of the day, but yeah, not a huge deal. He'll probably farm up another item before he loses that anyway.
Well, Fnatic. This Wisp just feels very fragile in the fights. That's kind of the main issue to me is No Tail hasn't really been at Era's hip as much as he normally is. Like, we've seen the earlier engagement, he was forced to relocate out the clockwork, he was almost dead. They didn't have him for the second lane of Rex, although it still worked out okay, and in this particular fight, they did relocate together, but then they got separated by some good play by Bulldog. The Massage brothers need to stay attached at the hip here, coming down the home stretch.
Yeah, and it's not a game where the Wisp can get away with, say, buying a Ghost Scepter and being like, ha, now I'm safe for that duration in fights. There's so much AoE magical damage and so many disables to keep him separate. He needs a BKB, but chances of him farming one up are pretty slim. But they've got the Aegis in hand. They only need to take one more lane of Rax to pretty much clinch this game. So, well, Alliance in a difficult spot here. But again, if they take one really convincing fight, then they can probably swing out and even things up.
In terms of buybacks, there's only one significant buyback ready, and that is the Lunas. So let's see. Would a second life make a difference for Loda? Potentially. He's 6-slotted basic. Well, no, not 6-slotted, but he's very close. Needs maybe one more item, and he's basically done farming. They'll fish with a tornado here, though I don't know that Alliance wants to engage. Certainly not in this formation. Fnatic well positioned behind the Tiny. They'll just wait for the top lane to push in. Earlier they sent a Clockwork Rocket scouting, but I think it just missed seeing this double damage rune. That's a rune that could really turn this game. Although, there's the Tornado to purge it, so maybe not a reliable one.
Yeah, worth pointing out that S4's item progression is just stalled completely. Like, he finished up the Hex and things were looking pretty good, but after that, hasn't been able to pick up anything, and he really wants probably a BKB of his own here.
Yeah, that's probably the best item he can buy, but he still needs quite a bit of farm to pick it up. They're going to keep on sieging. This time they've got a creep wave. He's thinking about going high ground. He'll start with an avalanche here, then he follows up just hitting some creep, but he's been Lucent beamed, and he does not want to waste this early BKB charge. He'll back up, not using it just yet, but they're not actually damaging the base. They're letting the creeps do it as they push in from the top side. Alliance are forced to deal with that incursion, and while it's happening, Fnatic are just moving through the bottom side. They'll go in again. This time Tiny starts clubbing, and he's found Pater. He's hitting buildings. You do not want a Tiny hitting buildings. Do not let Era hit that building. Defend at all costs, men. Alliance will try, but they just relocate a few feet back. They keep the Aegis alive. Well, No-Tail's gonna die for this, I think. Yeah, he's gotten lassoed. Pulled back in. He'll be relocating just a few inches to his left, but he does fall. Is that worth the Wisp death? Buys back immediately. Well, the glyph was not even used for that.
Yeah, they don't want to wait for the Wisp. They want every single second of this Aegis value. And he's got the heart on the Tiny anyway, so the short relocate doesn't really matter. He's still going to get topped off. He can start chipping away.
The only issue is that Wisp has to run to bottom lane, so Wisp is not here yet. And Alliance, well, should know that. There's no boots of travel on the Wisp. And already used the ultimate. They'll blink it now with Hani. Look for the initiation. Era pops his BKB. S4's been isolated, though. Great hook shot from Trixie, catching him out, driving it back. And Era starts hitting, but he's only attacking Loda, and Loda is dodging almost everything. This evasion is doing work. The BKB's ended. There is still an Aegis. He finds better targets, though. He's found the Invoker. He's found the Wind Ranger. Tries to bring them down, while Loda, with the Mjolnir buff on him, is just cleaning up the backlines. But now Loda's BKB also in. Ava tossed down. He can't buy back. With that last purchase of the Mjolnir, he's out of gold. And that's gonna be it. No buyback. They'll GG out now. Alliance defeated by the big rock man. Once again, Tony has the last word. And Alliance, a game that they desperately needed to win. Well, now they'll have to win this last one. Right now, Dogma, in theory, have the inside track to take the group if they win their last 2 games. They're in a great position. Fnatic here, if they win all 4, will also be 5-3. And Alliance would then drop to 4-4 if they lose this next game. So, Fnatic, I don't know if they fully control their own destiny, but Basecamp, they are close.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if that lasso on the Wisp was the best case scenario for Fnatic. Like, we were already talking about how No-Tail wasn't really doing too much. In the fights, it was very difficult for him to stay next to the Tiny, and without the lasso to keep the Tiny locked down, he just absolutely ran rampant in that last fight. So, nice of them by Fnatic, showing that, you know, their old combos still work very, very well for them, and I doubt that Alliance are going to give them another shot with that in the second game.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting some bans here. It's got like an 80% win rate for Fnatic, something insane. I think that's just on this patch. But Basecamp, thanks for joining me for Game 1. You gonna stick around for Game 2?
Yeah, I'd love to if you'll have me along for the ride.
Oh, I'll have you. So, guys, thanks for watching. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Basecamp, of course, you can follow him at twitter.com/BasecampDota. Myself, twitter.com/LDDota. We'll take a quick break. We come back soon with Alliance versus Fnatic, game number 2. Stay tuned.